we stood during the difficult times of President Mbeki, where we said that there must be changes. Unfortunately, there are people who like us in this country. There are people who do not like us in this country because of we do not bend principles based on politics of expedience. We do not change because we know the conditions in this country. Our people, they want jobs. Our people, they're in poverty. The economy is not in the hands of black people in this country. It's still in the hands of white colonial settlers. The economy in this country, they own the means of production. They own all the commanding heights of the South African economy. We've got that responsibility of changing the material conditions in this country. If we defend and die for individuals will never help the 55 million South Africans, which more than 10 million South Africans are in poverty, they're unemployed, which is 67% of that number is young people who've got that responsibility as a generation. That's why we're saying we cannot mutate like ANC factions, which they're always switching side on daily basis. As a younger generation, we must stand firm as a generation without compromising principle. It's what we are doing today. It's what we have done yesterday. The history speaks for itself.
Can your party survive this crisis, whatever decision the president ends up making? Your party has been struggling for support over years now, and this has been borne out in various elections. Some would say that this perhaps might be the final nail in the coffin.
No, what we've been talking about, we're saying let us focus on what is called the revolution. I'll just make a simple example. Let us compare the South African Revolution with the Cuban Revolution. Cubans, they defeated Batista in 1959. In 1975, they were already fighting for our freedom here in Africa, for the freedom of South Africans, the freedom of Namibians, the freedom of Angolans. More than 500,000 Cubans perish in the African soil fighting for our freedom. In 15 years, they were powerful force. The issue of education in Cuba, the issue of life expectancy rate in Cuba, the issue of poverty. At that time, Cubans could read and write in 15 years. In South Africa, because we like to focus on personalities, we like to focus on leaders, not on the cause of the revolution. In 30 years, in a quarter of a century, there are still South Africans who are more than 10 million unemployed, more than 3 million South Africans who cannot read and write. Obvious, as young comrades, you must be able to lose patience with that situation. That's why we're saying let us focus on the revolution and change the situation in South Africa. We're saying as we go to December conference, we must never elevate individuals more than the revolution. What we must be able to talk about is to say immediately after that conference in December, in this country, we must create jobs within 2 years for that 10 million, not job opportunities. It's what we're talking about if we want a revolution to succeed. If we'll tailor-made our revolution with individual, it will collapse. That's the trap which we like to follow on daily basis. It must never be around individuals. It must be about the content of the revolution. That's why we talk about the question of land, that let's expropriate land without compensation. That's why we're saying let's nationalize the Reserve Bank. That's why we're saying let's establish the state-owned bank, including a black-owned bank. We're saying including the financial institutions, not big banks in this country, they must be given licenses. They cannot, they must operate like casinos, not to be given endless licenses. If they don't like you, they can even evoke and take they can even close your account. We're saying those are the reforms which we must be able to bring in this country. We're saying we must be able to nationalize and tamper with number of monopolies in this country. We must address a situation where a number of South African corporations, which they are not investing in our own economy. If you look in companies like Olumushwal, they listed in Johannesburg, in London Stock Exchange, not in this country. In corporations like Sosol, where they took more than $12 billion that they invested in Texas, they lost that money instead of investing in Limpopo, in the Mafuta plant. in Limpopo, we're saying those are the changes which we must be able to make in December. We will need a radical shift in December, which must never be based on personalities. It must be based on the program of action of economic freedom in our lifetime, which was put together by the generation of the Youth League in 2011 at Galaga conference, which that program has been pushed in the ranks of the ANC up to a level where the last conference of the ANC agreed with those resolutions. We are saying as we go to the December conference, that must be the focus. All of us, the ANC will be able to survive and win elections for a longer period.
Yeah, we're running out of time, and you've mentioned elections. Some parties are calling for an early election and that a fresh mandate must be sought by the ANC if it wants to continue to rule. What are your thoughts on the possibility of maybe having an election next year and not the year after?
No, there's no need for any elections. In fact, to have elections every day will never deliver to our people. The smaller parties and those who are sitting in the opposition benches, they can be happy if there are elections every day. But when the election date is set, they always complain about resources, about not being great. Next elections are in 2024. It's only two years away. Let us wait for that 2024 and make sure that as a movement in the next 2 years, we address the issue of poverty in this country, we address the issue of unemployment. Those are the major issues we must be able to focus on and address the issue of energy, which is a major challenge, which is a crisis in this country. The conference, the Young Lions of our Tambo, those who are part of the economic freedom in our lifetime, it must be their focus in the December conference. Is our responsibility as a younger comrades to rise to the occasion and serve and save our organization. Let us move away from ANC factions. If I can talk about the history of the ANC factions, they've been here for a long time. They mutate like a snake, they do not die. Let us move away as a generation and come together and save our organization. It's what we can be able to do.
Andile Lungisa, thanks so much indeed for giving us your time. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Let me apologize because I'm on the road.
Oh, no, that's okay. We're grateful for the time you gave us. Thank you. All right, so that's a voice from within the ANC. Former president of the ANC Youth League still sees himself as that young generation that he says needs to rise up to save his party, and that it should be about ideas and issues and not individuals.